On March 16, 1979, The China Syndrome premiered in theaters across the United States. It starred Jane Fonda as an ambitious reporter, Jack Lemmon as a nuclear engineer, and Michael Douglas as a cameraman who accidentally films a near-catastrophic meltdown at a California nuclear plant. The film's tension came from small mechanical failures, misleading control room indicators, and executives more worried about panic than safety. Audiences left the theaters unsettled, but reassured themselves. It was fiction, dramatized for entertainment. 12 days later, on March 28, 1979, reality mirrored fiction in a way that made it impossible to dismiss. At 4 a.m., Unit 2 at the 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station in Pennsylvania experienced a partial meltdown. A pressure relief valve stuck open, but the indicator falsely showed it as closed. Operators misinterpreted readings and shut down emergency cooling systems. The exact wrong action at the exact wrong time. Radioactive gases began escaping, and for hours, neither executives, regulators, nor the public knew the full scope of the danger. By March 30th, limited evacuations were recommended for pregnant women and children. The technical failures, delayed communication, and human error played out almost beat for beat, like the events in the China Syndrome. The parallel was unnerving. In the film, the engineer discovers falsified reports and pressure from management. In real life, internal investigations revealed prior warnings had been ignored. Both scenarios highlighted the same lesson. Systems fail not because danger is unforeseen, but because inconvenient truths are sidelined. This wasn't magic or coincidence. It was dramatization of vulnerabilities that engineers and insiders already knew existed. The payoff was terrifying. A fictional scenario became a real-world nightmare within less than 2 weeks, proving the film's core warning was prescient. Fast forward to April 26, 1986, and a similar pattern unfolded on the other side of the world. In Chernobyl, Ukraine, reactor number 4 suffered a catastrophic explosion. Soviet engineers had conducted risky experiments and bypassed safety protocols, justifying their choices with confidence that the system was under control. When the reactor exploded, officials initially downplayed the event, delayed evacuations, and misled the public about radiation exposure. The hook is clear. Once again, a complex nuclear system failed because human error and institutional priorities overrode safety. The value here is in the historical specifics. Pripyat residents weren't evacuated until 36 hours later, and radioactive fallout spread across Europe. The payoff mirrors 3 Mile Island and the movie. Public safety was compromised not by lack of technology, but by denial and delay. In 2011, the pattern repeated during the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan. On March 11, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake triggered a tsunami that flooded backup generators, causing multiple reactors to overheat. Early warnings about tsunami risks had been previously raised, but regulators and plant operators prioritized cost-saving and confidence in the system over precautionary action. Initial reports underestimated the severity, and clear guidance to the public was delayed. Once again, the hook is the same. Systems fail when warnings are ignored and institutions prioritize image over truth. The value lies in the specifics. Radiation was released into the Pacific Ocean. Evacuations were imposed too late, and the disaster left long-term contamination. The payoff. The world witnessed yet another scenario eerily similar to both 3 Mile Island and the warnings dramatized in the China Syndrome. What these 3 events, the 12-day reality following the China Syndrome, Chernobyl, and Fukushima, share is more than nuclear physics. They share human behavior. Miscommunication, delayed acknowledgement, and attempts to maintain control over perception. The real danger is not the technology itself. It is the institutional reluctance to confront inconvenient truths until it's too late. Each disaster underscores the same chilling lesson. Fiction can visualize threats that reality quietly allows to fester, and history repeats when warnings are ignored. The China syndrome didn't predict disasters with supernatural foresight. It revealed patterns of human and institutional behavior that consistently precede catastrophic failure. 12 days later, reality validated it. 7 years later, Chernobyl echoed it. 32 years later, Fukushima echoed it again. Each scenario reinforces the central truth. When humans manage complex systems, history is more likely to repeat than to surprise. Even today, that lesson resonates. Across industries, finance, aviation, healthcare, there are systems so intricate that no one individual can fully grasp the consequences of failure. When warnings are softened or delayed, the same pattern can emerge. The China syndrome serves as a reminder that the most dangerous disasters are often ones we are warned about, but choose to ignore until the warning becomes reality. The haunting parallel is this. A movie, created for entertainment, captured the essence of these disasters before they happened. It did not predict the future with magic. It illuminated the truths that institutions often refuse to confront. The value is in the pattern. Recognize the signs, heed the warnings, and act decisively. The payoff is survival, or, at minimum, a chance to avoid repeating history. In every way, these events form a chain of human behavior. Fictional warning, ignored real-life precursor, catastrophic consequence, and delayed accountability. From the opening credits of the China syndrome to the meltdown at 3 Mile Island, from the explosion at Chernobyl to Fukushima's cascading failure, the lesson is clear and unnerving. Institutions fail when fear of truth outweighs the courage to confront it. And that's why this story matters today, because somewhere, right now, warnings are being filed away, reports are labeled low probability, and experts are asked to soften their language. The question remains, when the next disaster approaches, will we finally pay attention? Or will we repeat the cycle all over again? The playbook for disaster is written long before the first alarm. Decisions made in boardrooms and meetings set the stage. Silence, denial, and a rush to restore normality. These are our enemies. The real enemy isn't ignorance, but willful blindness. Look at corporate disasters, systemic failures, and even climate change challenges today. The signs are there, whispering warnings into the void. The China syndrome is not just a story, it's a manual. It shows us that fiction can be a mirror, reflecting the tendencies we shy away from acknowledging in real life. In the end, it's about human nature and institutional inertia. We know the risks, yet we hesitate. Focus on the experts, the data, the warnings. Take them seriously, not as mere hypotheticals, but as lessons. If history has shown us anything, it's that systems don't protect us. Our vigilance does. Know the signs. Heed the warnings. Choose truth over comfort before it becomes a necessity. It isn't just about predicting disaster, but preventing it. What matters is what comes next. Will we learn from this script that's been written too many times, or will it play out yet again? So what happens when we ignore the warnings? Think back to a time when someone sounded the alarm early. Maybe it was about a faulty product or a risky decision. Remember how it went unheeded until it was too late? This is not just about nuclear disasters. History whispers these stories. Stories of industries and societies gearing towards the brink because comfort silenced the caution. In aviation, when small issues are dismissed, looming disasters get set in motion. In finance, when early indicators are ignored, markets can plunge without mercy. In healthcare, ignoring research can cost lives. The echoes of the China syndrome resound across sectors, telling us that vigilance is the true safeguard. Fiction shows us what reality is often too cautious to admit. Pause for a moment and think. Where are the warning signs today? Maybe in the climate graphs showing rising temperatures. Maybe in the uneasy silence when corporate profits are prioritized over safety. Maybe in the quiet experts waving red flags while meeting rooms remain hushed. Our duty is clear: to remain vigilant, to resist the inclination to wait until the pattern repeats. Will you be the one to speak out? Will you have the courage to confront the inconvenient truths that need acknowledgement? Remember, a script is already written somewhere, perhaps in a boardroom, perhaps in policy drafts, but it's up to us to choose a different ending. Let's change the narrative before fiction becomes reality once again. Because in the end, it's not just about avoiding disaster. It's about rewriting the script for how we approach risk and responsibility. Acknowledge the signs. Break the cycle. Believe in the power of prevention. This is our chance. Let's not miss it. Recognize, act. Change the story before the story changes us. As we stand at the intersection of past lessons and future risks, we hold a unique opportunity. Imagine if, right now, we decided to change course. Acknowledge the early signals, amplify the voices that caution us, and lean into prevention rather than scrambling for solutions post-crisis. Imagine industries where safety is embedded into the very DNA of decision-making processes. Envision leaders who prioritize long-term security over short-term gains, where transparency and accountability are non-negotiable aspects of operation. But to get there, we must challenge the status quo. We must ask difficult questions and demand answers when faced with vague reassurances. We must elevate science and data over convenience and spin. Understand this: the alarm bells are not a distraction, they are guidance. And history seldom forgives those who ignore them. Decide today to question, to probe, to safeguard the future. Picture a world where the disastrous cycle is broken, where warnings aren't met with skepticism, but with strategic actions. That's the world we must strive to create, one where we take proactive steps, informed by past experiences and fueled by a commitment to learn. So look forward. See the possibility of change. Confront the uncomfortable truths and let them inspire informed and decisive action. Our future depends on a collective vigilance, one rooted in the acknowledgement that fiction need not script reality. This is our defining moment. Will we allow the echoes of the past to dictate the narrative of tomorrow? Or will we transform those echoes into a clarion call for change? The power lies in our hands to steer the course, to rewrite the ending. Recognize the power of early warnings. Listen to the experts. Push for progress. Commit to vigilance. Because the choice to act or ignore rests with us. Today, tomorrow, always. Let's choose wisely.